The autumn evening enveloped the Dawson household in long, stretching shadows. As the fading sunlight filtered through the half-drawn curtains, Claire Dawson stood in the hallway, her hand hovering over the brass doorknob of her son's room, suspended in a moment of uncertainty. After a lengthy day at the office, her thoughts tangled in spreadsheets and looming deadlines. The unusual sounds coming from inside stirred her curiosity like a whisper of adventure. In the quiet of the evening, she halted, her heart pounding not from trepidation, but from an innate sense that whatever lay beyond the door would change everything for eternity. Claire had always cherished the bond she shared with Nathan. At 19, he had evolved from the bright-eyed boy she once walked to school with into a young man cloaked in a guarded demeanor, frequently seeking refuge in the solitude of his room. Wrapped in layers of silence, with unwavering dedication, she invested her soul into ensuring he felt loved and valued, even in the shadow of the absence left by James, her former husband who had departed a decade earlier. Yet the bond that once thrived between them had dimmed, and this evening that emptiness was undeniable. With a measured breath, Claire gently pushed the door open, taking great care with each movement. The room glowed gently, the desk lamp in the corner casting a warm, solitary light that danced across the space. Nathan perched on his bed, his spine arched, his form taut with unease. With his phone clutched tightly in his hands, his face flushed a deep crimson, revealing the unmistakable signs of his embarrassment. He lifted his head sharply as the door slowly creaked open. His eyes sparkled with astonishment, as if a world of wonder had just unfolded before him. "Mother," he called, his voice quivering with a blend of regret and trepidation. With a swift motion, he tucked the phone beneath a pillow, his clumsy gestures betraying the tension that gripped him. Claire's first instinct was to voice her remorse and retreat. Yet an invisible power anchored her steadfastly where she stood. Perhaps it was the manner in which Nathan averted his gaze, or the realization that his shame ran deeper than that of a young soul ensnared in a private moment. She understood the situation without a single look at the phone's display. "I knocked," and she responded softly, though she had not truly answered. Her voice flowed gently, warm and soothing, echoing the tender tone she used when Nathan was just a small child with a scraped knee. As she stepped into the room, she softly closed the door, allowing the world outside to fade away. Nathan held his tongue, the weight of unspoken words hanging in the air, with his shoulders drawn in and his gaze averted. He appeared to withdraw into the depths of his own being. The air carried a delicate mix of laundry detergent and the unmistakable scent of youth, weaving a tapestry of memories waiting to be told. Claire took in her surroundings, observing the scattered textbooks that lay haphazardly, the bed that remained unmade, and the desk cluttered with a wild assortment of notes and discarded energy drink cans. It unveiled a moment in her son's life, chaotic, delicate, and in this instance, remarkably exposed. "Are you all right?" she asked after a moment, her tone carefully measured. "I'm fine," he replied, his voice barely rising above a whisper. He shifted his stance on the bed, hands clasped tightly in his lap. Claire sat delicately on the edge of the bed, maintaining a careful distance. "Nathan, you needn't feel any shame at all. No matter what this may be, I stand here without judgment." Her words hung in the atmosphere, rich with unspoken comprehension. She sensed the heat of his embarrassment radiating from him, yet she also sensed a deeper longing, a quiet desire for comfort, for a bond that transcended words. Nathan finally turned to face her, his expression a tapestry woven with threads of exasperation and openness. "You wouldn't understand," he said, his voice tinged with a deep-seated bitterness. "Go ahead, take your chance." Claire fixed her gaze with determination. He took a moment, his hands dancing nervously as he gathered his thoughts. "It's not that. I was just captivated by it. It's really not a significant matter." Claire nodded slowly, granting him the space to weave his tale. When he remained silent, she decided to shift the focus elsewhere. "Nathan, you know that you can confide in me about anything, right? In my own journey, I have walked the path you tread now." Feeling the weight of confusion, the spark of curiosity, and the shadow of loneliness, the word lingered in the atmosphere, echoing profoundly between them. Nathan's eyes sparkled with a hint of familiarity, and for the first time, his stance softened just a bit. He started to weave his words, but hesitated, a lump forming in his throat. "I'm uncertain. I wish for you to perceive me as more than just a peculiar figure." Claire experienced a sharp tug at her heartstrings upon hearing his words. "Nathan, you're not an exception. You're just like the rest of us. Humans are wonderfully intricate and beautifully chaotic. It's all part of the journey of growing up." He gazed at her, his eyes glistening with unfallen tears. "It's a struggle," he admitted, his voice quivering with emotion. "There are moments when I ponder deeply about who I am and what my true purpose is." With a tender touch, Claire rested her hand on his knee, a silent gesture of comfort. "That's perfectly normal," she said with a gentle reassurance. There's no need to possess every answer at this moment, and remember, you're not on this journey by yourself. For a fleeting moment, they lingered in silence, the palpable tension in the room gradually fading away. Claire bore the heavy burden of her son's challenges, resonating with her own path. As she maneuvered through the aftermath of a broken marriage, the trials of single parenthood, and the deep-seated emotions of self-doubt, years flowed by as she devoted herself to Nathan, placing her own needs and desires on the back burner. As she sat with him, a thought flickered in her mind. She perhaps done him a disservice by hiding her vulnerabilities from view? Nathan, she spoke gently, whatever emotions you're experiencing, it's completely valid. There's no reason for embarrassment, and you don't have to face this by yourself. He looked at her, his expression a tapestry woven with threads of relief and uncertainty. Thank you, Mom, he said gently, his voice filled with heartfelt gratitude. Claire nodded, her heart heavy yet ignited by a glimmer of hope. With a fluid motion, she stood, delicately smoothing the fabric of her skirt. I'll give you some space, she said, gliding toward the door with a gentle grace. As her fingers brushed against the doorknob, she paused, throwing a fleeting look over her shoulder at him. Remember, Nathan, I am always here with you, unwavering and steadfast, he nodded, a faint smile dancing at the corners of his lips. I grasped the essence of it. Claire stepped into the hallway, softly closing the door behind her. She leaned against it, her thoughts dancing in a whirlwind. The encounter stirred something deep within her, a fusion of nurturing instinct, compassion, and an unsettling recognition of her own solitude. She recognized that this was just the beginning of a conversation that needed to develop. But for now, she chose to move slowly, focused on bridging the growing distance between them. The evening had woven itself into a tapestry of darkness, as the last whispers of sunlight slipped quietly into the horizon. Once upon a time, there was a character named Claire. She lingered in the hallway, her hand resting on the doorframe, her heart heavy with the weight of what she had witnessed, and the shadows it cast over their relationship. With a calming breath, she pivoted and moved onward, departing from the lingering shadows of Nathan's presence. Space left behind her, yet the questions lingered, suspended in the atmosphere like the echo of an unspoken truth. Longing for an answer, the moments after Claire's interaction with Nathan were steeped in discomfort, her mind replaying the encounter over and over again. The fragile connection they had woven together enveloped her in a tapestry of solace and unease. Even as she offered him words of comfort, a nagging doubt continued to haunt her thoughts. Could she genuinely grasp the depth of Nathan's burdens? Claire wandered through the house, tidying up spaces that were already in order, searching for any distraction to soothe her rising anxiety. As the hour drew near to midnight, she nestled into the softly illuminated living room, a cup of tea resting untouched on the coffee table. She looked out the window at the peaceful suburban street, her reflection faintly visible in the glass. This sensation was familiar to her. Adrift and isolated in a life that had once revolved around motherhood, Nathan had grown up quickly, and she had invested so much of herself into him that she barely recognized the woman she had been before his arrival. Her thoughts wandered, almost as if pulled by an unseen thread, to James. He possessed. She left when Nathan was just 9, and from that moment on, she embraced the duties of both parents, setting her own desires aside. Yet now, as she faced this delicate matter with her son, she pondered whether the sacrifices made had stripped Nathan of the emotional support he genuinely needed. The soft echo of footsteps broke through her reverie. She cast her eyes toward him, discovering him poised in the doorway, his shoulders subtly drawn in, as though bracing himself for the sting of potential rejection. He had donned a casual t-shirt and sweatpants, embracing the comfort of simplicity. His hair was a wild tangle, a clear sign of a night spent tossing and turning. Or maybe even a night devoid of sleep entirely. Rest eluded her, and she asked, her voice gentle yet resolute. With a slow, measured shake of his head, he made his way toward the couch, each step purposeful and filled with unspoken thoughts. I guess you wouldn't be able to either. With a graceful gesture, Claire invited him to settle beside her. He complied, keeping a courteous distance while remaining close enough for her to feel the tautness in his posture. For a fleeting instant, a hush surrounded them, interrupted solely by the gentle murmur of the in the heart of the kitchen stands a refrigerator. Nathan, she started softly. I've been pondering your earlier thoughts on feeling adrift, uncertain of your identity or the path you are meant to follow. He nodded, his gaze fixed intently on the edge of the coffee table. It's a challenge, she went on, choosing her words thoughtfully. Reaching your age brings a tapestry of expectations, and at times, it feels as though you are weaving your way through a complex narrative. Isolated, with no one to guide you through the mysteries that surround you. He looked up at her, his eyes searching for comfort in hers. I find myself wandering through a sea of uncertainty, as though everyone around me has their lives meticulously arranged while I remain untethered. With a soft touch, Claire reached out, her hand finding its place on his arm, offering a sense of solace. That's a misunderstanding. A multitude of people experience the same bewilderment. They just have a remarkable talent for hiding it. As he settled into the couch, a heavy sigh escaped him, her words reverberating in the depths of his thoughts. I'm feeling a bit lost, Mom. At times, it seems as though I am ensnared in a web of my own making. Claire experienced a profound ache at his candidness. She longed to provide solace and ease the burden he carried. Yet she felt utterly unsure of how to achieve that. Her past struggles with solitude and doubt had long been hidden beneath the weight of her obligations, but now they surfaced, resonating with the deep isolation those feelings could evoke. After a moment of stillness, she began to speak, her voice trembling ever so slightly. I wish to stand by your side. My aim is to ensure you never feel alone in this journey. He looked at her, a mixture of hope and uncertainty shimmering in his eyes. What do you imply? Claire paused, her thoughts dancing like leaves in the wind as she searched for the ideal words to weave her tale. There are moments when doubt shrouds our clarity, and the presence of a guiding hand can truly transform our path. A figure we can trust. Nathan's expression transformed, his brow furrowing in confusion. Much like a wise guide pondering a complex tale, she shook her head, even as the idea danced through her thoughts. No, not exactly. I'm talking about a person who deeply comprehends your essence. Someone who genuinely recognizes the challenges you face. The space grew ever more constricted, the atmosphere heavy with the resonance of her words, hanging palpably in the air. Nathan's face shifted, his confusion deepening into a profound uncertainty, unveiling a more delicate aspect of his being. What are you trying to convey? He inquired, his voice scarcely rising above a murmur. Claire nodded, her hand lingering gently on his arm. If you would allow me. His eyes searched for hers, and for a fleeting moment, she caught a glimpse of the child he had once been, the boy who looked to her for guidance in a world that often felt immense and intimidating. I'm not quite sure, Mom. It feels peculiar. I understand, she confessed, her tone soft but resolute. Yet, it is frequently those who hold us dear that possess the greatest ability to uplift us. And my feelings for you, Nathan, surpass everything else. Her words seemed to break something deep inside him, and he leaned in, concealing his face in his hands. I don't want to spoil the tale, he whispered softly. His voice carried a hushed, gritty quality. Claire placed a comforting hand on his back, her touch a blend of strength and tenderness. Fear not, for you shall not falter, regardless of the emotions you feel or the challenges you face. We will journey through them together, taking each step as it comes. The silence that followed hung heavy with emotion, yet it felt inviting and warm. The quiet wrapped around them, fostering a moment for healing and the emergence of understanding. At long last, Nathan raised his eyes to the world around him. His eyes sparkled with a tale, steadfast yet inviting. All right, he whispered gently. But might we continue at a relaxed tempo? With a radiant smile, Claire felt a warm glow envelop her heart, determined not to let this slip away. Indeed, Nathan, feel free to take as much time as you need. They stayed close a little while longer, the weight of their conversation shifting into something more manageable. The bond that tied them together, though tested, appeared more robust now, fortified by their willingness to confront the unspoken. As the first light of dawn gently seeped through the window, Claire felt a spark of cautious hope begin to stir within her. This was not the resolution to all their struggles, but instead a beginning. A step toward understanding, toward togetherness, toward healing. She cast a glance at Nathan, who had reclined comfortably against the couch. Though his eyes were closed, a serene calmness enveloped his face. In that moment, after what felt like an eternity, she felt a profound sense of unity among them, as if they had finally come together as one cohesive team. Two imperfect souls journeying through a tangled realm together. As the morning light wrapped the room in a warm embrace, Claire vowed to stand by her son as he sought his way. No matter the trials that awaited them on the journey ahead, the dawn crept in slowly, its light filtering into the Dawson home like a hesitant guest hoping to be welcomed. Claire adjusted her position on the living room couch, a hint of discomfort evident as her neck protested the awkward angle in which she had drifted into slumber. Beside her, Nathan lay in slumber, his head nestled against the cushions, his chest rising and falling in a tranquil, rhythmic dance. For a fleeting moment, Claire watched him intently, her heart a swirling blend of weight and yearning. The dialogue from the night before had cracked open a door between them, yet it also left her wrestling with uncertainties she couldn't fully grasp. She had pledged to help him traverse the obstacles before him, yet the weight of that promise lingered, an invisible force tugging at her every thought. As Nathan stirred from his slumber, the sun had fully ascended, pouring a warm golden light into the room. He shook off the last vestiges of slumber, his hands moving to his eyes as he turned his attention to Claire. In that fleeting instant, A glimmer of vulnerability danced across his features, only to be quickly shrouded by a more protective facade. As the dawn broke, he let out a soft murmur, rising and reaching his arms wide in a gentle stretch. "Good morning," Claire said gently, her lips curving into a faint smile. "What emotions are you experiencing today?" He shrugged, his eyes lingering on the coffee table. "Lost in thought. It's hard to say. It carries a certain oddness, I guess." "That's all right," she replied, her voice a gentle whisper, yet filled with unwavering determination. "Patience is a treasure to be cherished." He acknowledged her with a nod, yet the ensuing silence lingered heavily in the air, filled with unspoken feelings. Claire sensed the compelling desire within him to share more, yet she held back from pressing him to continue. With a gentle rise, she stretched her limbs, feeling the familiar protest of her joints after a night spent on the couch. "How about some breakfast?" she proposed, trying to weave a thread of normalcy into the fabric of the moment. "Of course," he responded, rising to his feet alongside her. They moved into the kitchen, where the sound of clinking plates and the gentle hiss of the stove wrapped around them. Like a warm embrace, Claire lost herself in the rhythmic dance of frying eggs and toasting bread, while Nathan stood by the counter watching her with a quiet intensity. She felt his eyes on her, and though she decided to ignore it, she knew he was wrestling with something deep inside. Finally, as she meticulously placed the plates upon the table, he started to weave his words. "Mom, about last night." She looked up, her expression soft and welcoming. "What is it that you seek?" I don't want things to become awkward between us," he said, his voice trailing off, as if the weight of his words hung in the air, waiting for a response. "Uncertain. Well, they kind of are already. But I'd prefer not to add any more complexity to the situation." Claire settled into her chair across from him, her hands gracefully ranged on the table. "Nathan," she remarked, "things are only peculiar if we permit them to be. What we talked about last night, your feelings, they hold no judgment, neither wrong nor bad. It's a tale woven with intricacies." He nodded slowly, gently poking at his eggs with his fork. "Intricate. In a serene moment, they shared a meal, the tension between them ebbing and flowing like the gentle waves of the sea. Claire longed to speak words of solace, yet she understood the importance of granting him the space to ponder. At last, Nathan shattered the silence. "Do you ever sense that? Are you lacking, as though, no matter how hard you try, it will never be enough?" Claire experienced a profound ache in her chest at his words. "It was a relentless battle," she admitted, "especially since your father left us. I felt the heavy burden of expectation to fulfill both roles for you, a mother and a father all in one. Yet, in the face of my unwavering endeavors, it always appeared to fall short." He looked at her, his expression a tapestry woven with threads of wonder and understanding. "Indeed, you consistently seem to possess a firm grasp on everything." With a subtle smile, she gently shook her head. "Trust me, Nathan, I truly didn't. I remain uncertain. Yet, that is the very heart of existence. There's no requirement to have every detail laid out in advance. Endurance is essential." He nodded once more, his body language softening slightly. "That sounds quite fair." They finished their breakfast in a serene hush, the earlier moments lingering softly around them. The tension slowly dissipates, like a mist lifting at dawn. As they finished clearing the table, Claire felt a spark of hopeful anticipation in the air. Amidst the complexities that lay ahead, she began to sense the faint whispers of a profound journey unfolding. A bond is blossoming between them, grounded in genuine understanding and compassion. The rest of the day flowed gently, like a calm river winding through a peaceful landscape. Nathan retreated to his room for a while, as Claire embraced the opportunity to embark on household tasks. As she carefully folded the laundry in the living room, her mind wandered back to their earlier moments. Dialogue and its significance for their bond. As Nathan emerged from his room later that afternoon, a serene aura enveloped him. He eased himself onto the couch beside her with a relaxed demeanor, gently gathering a lone sock and folding it with tenderness. "I truly appreciate your support, Mom," he expressed, his voice filled with sincerity. Claire looked at him, her heart overflowing with pride and love. "Always, Nathan. No matter the circumstances." After what felt like an endless journey, she finally beheld a genuine smile gracing his face, a subtle yet profound sign that they were indeed heading in the right direction. As the light of day gently slipped away, as the sun dipped below the horizon, they decided to share a cinematic experience, a delightful pastime that had long been missing from their lives. For ages. This cherished routine provided a soothing embrace of familiarity, a soft nudge that even in the face of unpredictability, they could unearth glimmers of togetherness and joy. As the credits began to roll, a wave of tranquility enveloped Claire, a sensation she recognized had been missing from her life for quite some time. Her gaze wandered to Nathan, who had surrendered to the embrace of sleep. the couch beside her, his head gently cradled by the soft cushions. Deep down, she sensed that their adventure was merely starting, with countless challenges looming ahead, feathers that whisper tales of the sky. In that fleeting moment, she discovered comfort in her unwavering presence by his side, offering the love and encouragement he needed to traverse his journey. As she turned off the television and draped a blanket over herself, as she wrapped him in a blanket, a renewed sense of purpose enveloped her. Though she might not have all the answers, she carried something far more profound: steadfast determination to stand by her son, no matter the challenges that lay ahead. In that moment, as the house enveloped itself in a tranquil hush, Claire realized that she was not just leading Nathan on his path. She was embarking on a journey to uncover her own path,